She laughed while I cried in that pawn shop.
6 months ago, I was living in a $35 motel room eating cold beans from a can when someone knocked at 2 in the morning. The man wore a $5,000 suit and knew my name. "Marcus Bennett," he asked. I told him if he wanted money, I had none. He said his name was James Crawford, a private investigator, and what he had to tell me would destroy everything I thought I knew about my divorce and my ex-wife Rachel's cancer. I'm Marcus, 43, and 6 months before this, I had everything. Successful contracting company, house I built myself, 2 great kids, wife I loved since high school. Now I lived in room 214 at Valley View Motel, where walls were so thin I heard my neighbor crying every night. Sometimes I wondered if he heard me doing the same. James stood at my door holding a leather briefcase that cost more than my monthly rent. Behind him, the parking lot's flickering neon made shadows dance across his face. He looked like someone who never had to sell his wedding ring to pay medical bills. The kind of man my ex-wife said she wanted instead of me. He asked to come in, said what he had to show shouldn't be discussed in a doorway. I looked at my pathetic room with its unmade bed, hot plate on a card table, boxes stacked against the wall. Something in his eyes made me step aside. 5 minutes, I said. He set his briefcase on my bed and turned to face me. He'd been hired by someone who cared about me very much, someone who never believed Rachel's story. He opened the briefcase and pulled out a thick folder. He asked if I'd ever met Dr. Stephen Walsh before Rachel's diagnosis. I said no, she found him through a specialist referral, said he was the best in Colorado for ovarian cancer. James pulled out a photograph showing Rachel at a barbecue laughing with Dr. Walsh, dated 3 years before her diagnosis. "Dr. Stephen Walsh is your ex-wife's second cousin," James said. "He's been helping her plan something truly evil for 2 years. The room spun. I grabbed a chair to steady myself. I told him that was impossible. I saw her suffering, the chemo, the weight loss, the fear in her eyes. All carefully orchestrated, he said. He pulled out bank statements from Cayman Islands accounts. Rachel had been depositing money there every time I sold something for her treatments. My house netted $400,000, my equipment another $200,000, my grandfather's Harley, my wedding ring. Everything went straight from medical payments to her offshore accounts. I sat hard on the bed. My hands shook. He was telling me she never had cancer. The medical records were falsified, James explained. The chemotherapy was saline and vitamins that made her sick enough to seem authentic. She lost weight through strict dieting and prescription medications. Every aspect was planned with Dr. Walsh and her divorce attorney, Marcus Klein. Klein was the shark who destroyed me in court, who stood next to Rachel as she took my kids away. "How long have you known?" I whispered. "I've been investigating 6 months, hired the day after your divorce finalized. The person who hired me suspected something when Rachel refused to let them attend medical appointments. They've been quietly gathering evidence, waiting for the right moment." "Who hired you?" I asked. James smiled for the first time. "Your father, Robert Bennett. He never believed Rachel was sick. Your father said," and I quote, "My boy would give everything for family, but I'll be damned if I let him lose everything to a lie." The tears came then, hot, angry tears I'd held back for months. My father, who I'd pushed away when he offered help, who I'd been too proud to accept money from, had been fighting for me this whole time. "Your mother Lisa helped too," James said, following Rachel when she said she was going to treatments, documenting everything. "Your brother Kyle tracked the money trails. Your whole family has been working to save you. You were never alone, even when you felt like you were." I thought about all those nights wondering if my kids, Derek and Emma, would ever forgive me for losing everything, for not being the father they deserved. I thought about Rachel's cruel laugh when she told me she wanted a real man, how she'd taken my children and poisoned them against me. And it had all been a lie. "What happens now?" I asked. "Tomorrow morning at 9, the FBI arrests Rachel and Marcus Klein on charges of fraud, conspiracy, embezzlement, and about a dozen other federal crimes. Dr. Walsh already confessed for a reduced sentence. Your children have been told the truth and are with your parents waiting for you." "Home?" I asked. "I don't have a home anymore." "Actually, you do." James pulled out a deed. "Your father bought your house through a trust the day you sold it. He's been maintaining it, keeping your workshop exactly as you left it. He said you'd need it when this was over." I stared at the deed with my address on it, the house I'd built with my own hands, where I'd raised my children, where I thought I'd grow old with Rachel. It had been waiting for me all along. Why didn't anyone tell me sooner? I asked. We needed ironclad evidence, James said. Your ex-wife was very careful, very smart. One wrong move and she would have disappeared with the money and possibly the children. We had to wait until we had everything documented, every crime proven beyond doubt. James moved toward the door, then turned back. Your father asked me to tell you something. He said you did exactly what he raised you to do. You put family first. You sacrificed everything for love. The fact that she exploited that doesn't make you weak, Marcus. It makes her evil. And evil only wins when good men stop fighting. Your fight isn't over. It's just beginning. Before everything fell apart, I had the kind of life other men envied. Not wealthy, but comfortable. Not famous, but respected. I ran Bennett Contracting in Denver, built from nothing but a pickup truck and a toolbox my grandfather left me. We specialized in custom homes where every detail mattered. The house I was proudest of was my own. I remember the morning everything was still perfect. Thursday in March, woke at 5:30 like always. Rachel still asleep beside me, dark hair spread across the pillow. 22 years of marriage, and I still felt lucky watching her breathe. She'd left a note on my nightstand, like every morning. Coffee's ready, lunch is in the fridge, love you, Vern. Downstairs, my son Derek was already at the kitchen table, 14 years old, studying his football playbook. Morning, Dad. Can you run plays with me later? After work, buddy. We'll throw the ball around until your arm gets tired. My daughter Emma came down carrying her violin case like it contained gold. At 12, she was already first chair in high school orchestra despite being the youngest member. Dad, the spring concert is next month. You'll be there, right? Wouldn't miss it for the world, sweetheart. This was our routine. Breakfast together, everyone talking over each other. Rachel packing lunches while reminding us about dentist appointments and soccer practices. I'd kiss everyone goodbye and head to work where my crew would already be loading trucks. Travis Pike, my foreman for 8 years, would hand me the day's schedule. We'd laugh about difficult clients and weather delays and build something beautiful. My father, Robert, would stop by job sites sometimes. At 71 and still built like a linebacker, he'd run Bennett Contracting before me. He'd walk through my projects, running his hand along the framing, checking corners. Good work, son. Your grandfather would be proud. Sunday dinners at my parents' house were sacred. My mother, Lisa, would cook for an army. Kyle would show up with his wife and 3 kids. We'd eat until we couldn't move. The Tuesday that changed everything started like any other. Rachel had been tired lately, complaining about stomach pain. I'd been after her to see a doctor, but she kept putting it off. Then she called me at work, crying so hard I could barely understand her. I'm at the hospital, they found something. Can you come? I left Travis in charge and drove to Denver General, breaking every speed limit. Found Rachel in the oncology ward, still in a paper gown. Mascara streaked down her cheeks. Dr. Stephen Walsh stood beside her, tall and serious in his white coat. Mr. Bennett, your wife has stage 3 ovarian cancer. We'll need to start aggressive treatment immediately. The words hit like a sledgehammer. Cancer had taken my grandmother, my uncle, Rachel's father. I sat down hard while Dr. Walsh explained treatment options, survival rates, costs. The numbers blurred together. All I could focus on was Rachel's hand in mine trembling like a frightened bird. Afterward, she broke down completely. We sat in my truck in the parking garage while she sobbed against my chest, fingers clutched in my work shirt. I don't want to die, Marcus, she said. I want to see our kids graduate, get married, have babies. I want to grow old with you. I held her face in my calloused hands, looked straight into those green eyes I'd fallen in love with at 17. Baby, I'd sell my soul to keep you here. We're going to beat this thing. Whatever it takes, whatever it costs, we're going to win. She kissed me then, desperate and frightened. Promise me, Marcus. Promise you won't let me die. I promise, Rach, I swear on everything I am, everything I have. You're going to survive this. Looking back now, knowing what I know, I can see the signs I missed. The way she turned away when she said she loved me. The calculation in her eyes when we discussed selling assets. The quick phone call to someone she said was her sister. But her sister lived in Seattle, and it was past midnight there. But that night, all I saw was my wife, terrified and fragile, needing me to be strong. The bills started arriving 2 weeks after Rachel's diagnosis. Each envelope felt heavier than the last. I'd sit at the kitchen table after everyone was asleep, calculator in hand, trying to make the numbers work. They never did. First bill was $47,000 for diagnostics and consultations. Insurance covered $12,000. I emptied our savings and paid the rest. Rachel found me staring at the bank statement the next morning. Marcus, this is too much. Maybe we should get a second opinion, find a cheaper option. There is no cheaper option for stage 3 Rach. Dr. Walsh is the best. That's what you need. The construction business was doing well, but not well enough. I had 3 houses under contract, but construction meant paying crews and suppliers before getting paid yourself. Cash flow was tight on good days. These weren't good days. Travis noticed the stress first. Boss, you okay? You've been distracted lately. Rachel's sick chest, cancer. His face went white. Travis had lost his wife to breast cancer 5 years earlier. Jesus, Marcus, what do you need? A miracle or about 300,000? Same thing these days. He paused. I've got 20,000 saved. It's yours. I can't take your money. You gave me a job when nobody else would, right after Beth died. I was a drunk mess and you took a chance. Take the money, Marcus. I took it. Pride is expensive when your wife is dying. The second round of bills came with Dr. Walsh's recommendation for experimental treatment. There's a new pills combination showing remarkable results, he explained. It's not FDA approved yet, so insurance won't cover it. But I've seen tumors shrink by 70%. How much? Rachel asked, gripping my hand. The treatment protocol is approximately $180,000. Rachel started to object, but I cut her off. We'll find it. I sold the construction equipment first. The excavator I'd saved 3 years to buy, the dump trucks, the crane, all the tools that let me take on bigger projects. Posted them online Sunday night, sold by Wednesday. Had to call clients and explain delays. Mrs. Patterson was understanding. Marcus, take all the time you need. Family comes first. But the commercial developers weren't as kind. They pulled the contract, demanded their deposit back. $60,000 in future profit vanished. I had to let the crew go next. Called them into the office trailer on a Friday afternoon. These men had worked for me for years. Been at my kids' birthday parties. Tony, my best framer, shook his head. We can work for less, boss. Take pay cuts. It wouldn't be enough. I need you to file for unemployment. Find other work. When this is over, if you'll have me, I'll hire every one of you back. They filed out quietly. Travis stayed behind. This isn't right, Marcus. Something feels off about all this. Cancer doesn't care about what feels right. The house went on the market in month 3. The house I'd built with my own hands where every wall held a memory. Derek found me in the workshop I'd added the year he was born. Dad, are we really moving? It's just temporary, son. When Mom gets better, we'll build another house. A better one. I don't want a better one. I want this one. So did I. But the house sold in 2 weeks for $420,000. After paying off the mortgage, we cleared $300,000. It went straight to medical bills and the new treatment protocol. We moved into a 2-bedroom rental downtown. Emma had to share a room with her brother for the first time in her life. She didn't complain, at least not to me. But I heard her crying at night through the thin walls. My father came by one evening, saw me packing tools to sell. Marcus, this has gone far enough. Let me help. Dad, you and Mom need your retirement money. We need our son more, your mother agrees. We can give you $50,000. I won't take it. He slammed his hand on the table, something he hadn't done since I was a teenager. Forget your pride, boy. You're drowning and won't take a life preserver. But I wouldn't budge. Looking back, I wish I had. The wedding ring was the last thing to go. 3 carats, platinum band, bought when I landed my first big contract. I'd promised Rachel she'd never have to take it off. Now I was taking mine off at Solomon's pawn shop on Colfax Avenue. Mr. Solomon, who'd known my family 40 years, looked at it sadly. Marcus, this ring has a story. Your grandfather bought the original band from my father in 1953. You had it reset for Rachel. How much can you give me? It's worth $8,000. I'll give you 15. I can't take charity, Mr. Solomon. It's not charity. It's an investment in a good man having a bad year. I took the 15,000, added it to the 10 I got for my father's Harley, which I sold without telling him. That covered another month of treatment. Meanwhile, Rachel was getting better physically. The weight she'd lost made her cheekbones sharp, but her color was returning. Doctor, Walsh showed us scans where the tumors had shrunk dramatically. The treatment is working better than expected, he announced. I think we're looking at full remission within 2 months. Rachel cried with relief. I felt nothing but exhaustion. We'd won, but at what cost? I was down to nothing. No business, no house, no savings. But she was alive. That was supposed to be enough. Kyle pulled me aside at Sunday dinner. Marcus, something's not right. Rachel seems different. The way she looks at you, like she's disappointed or something. She's been through heck, Dal. No, it's something else. You're imagining things. But he wasn't. I just couldn't see it yet. The same week, Dr. Walsh declared Rachel cancer-free. She started getting text messages that made her smile. When I asked who she was talking to, she said it was her support group. They understand what I've been through, she said, not looking at me. You wouldn't get it. I should have known then. The woman who'd shared everything with me for 22 years suddenly had secrets. 6 weeks after Rachel's final clear scan, I came home from a day labor job to find suitcases in our bedroom. She was folding clothes with the precision she used when angry. The apartment smelled like her expensive perfume, the one she'd stopped wearing during treatment, but suddenly started using again. Rach, what's happening? Are we going somewhere? She didn't look up. I'm leaving you, Marcus. The words didn't make sense. I just spent 14 months selling everything to save her life. We'd won. She was cancer-free. We were supposed to rebuild together. I don't understand. Is this about the money? I'll build it back, Rach. Give me time. She finally looked at me and her eyes were cold as January ice. Look at yourself, Marcus. You're pathetic. Working day labor like some illegal immigrant, living in this dump, wearing the same 3 shirts because you sold everything else. I sold everything to save your life, and that's exactly the problem. She laughed, and it was a sound I'd never heard from her before, cruel and sharp. A real man wouldn't have lost everything. A real man would have found a way to keep his business, his house, his dignity. My lawyer, Marcus Klein, now there's a man who knows how to handle life. He saw my potential, saw what I could become without you dragging me down. Marcus Klein, I knew that name. The divorce attorney with the billboard on I-25. You're having an affair. It's not an affair when the marriage is already dead, Marcus. It died the day you sold our house, maybe before. I watched you scramble and beg for money, saw you groveling to that pawn shop owner, watched you fire your crew like a coward. It was disgusting. My hands were shaking. I was trying to save your life. Well, congratulations. You saved it. And now I'm going to live it properly with someone who isn't a complete failure. The divorce papers were already drawn up. She handed them to me like a work invoice. Klein says you'll need your own lawyer, though I don't know how you'll afford one. I'm seeking full custody of the children, spousal support, and half of any future earnings when you rebuild. You can't take my kids, Rachel. I can, and I will. They need stability, Marcus, not a father who lives in motels and works under the table for cash. Kyle arrived within an hour. He read through the papers, his face getting redder with each page. This is insane, Marcus. She can't do this. You saved her life. Apparently that makes me weak. Legal aid assigned me a public defender named Jennifer Davis, fresh out of law school and overwhelmed with cases. She reviewed my financial documents with zero enthusiasm. Mr. Bennett, you have no assets, no steady income, and you're living in a space that wouldn't meet custody requirements for 2 teenagers. Mrs. Bennett has already moved into a 4-bedroom house in Cherry Creek with Mr. Klein, her divorce lawyer, and now her fiancé, according to these documents. It doesn't look good. The custody hearing was 3 weeks later. I wore my only suit kept for funerals. Rachel showed up in designer clothes I'd never seen, Klein at her side like he'd already won. Judge Patricia Morrison presided, known for being fair but strict about children's welfare. Rachel testified first, painting me as unstable, financially irresponsible, possibly depressed. He sold our family home without truly consulting me, she told the judge, tears perfectly timed. He made reckless financial decisions that left our children without stability. When my turn came, I tried to explain. Your Honor, I sold everything to pay for Rachel's cancer treatment. The medical bills were over $300,000. And where are those medical records? Klein interrupted. My client's health information is private, but I can assure the court she would have survived with standard treatment. Mr. Bennett chose to pursue excessive measures that bankrupted the family unnecessarily. Excessive? She had stage 3 cancer. Judge Morrison called for order. Then came the worst part. My children were brought in. Derek wouldn't meet my eyes. Emma stared at her hands. Would you prefer to live with your mother or father? The judge asked. Derek's voice was flat, rehearsed. Mom's house is better for us. Dad can visit, but we need stability. Emma just nodded, tears streaming down her face. The ruling was swift. Given Mr. Bennett's current financial situation and living arrangements, I award full custody to Mrs. Bennett. Mr. Bennett will have supervised visitation every other weekend. Additionally, he will pay $500 monthly in child support and 30% of any future earnings exceeding $40,000 annually for spousal support. Your Honor, I don't even have $500. Then I suggest you find employment quickly, Mr. Bennett, or face contempt charges. Outside the courthouse, Rachel walked past me with the kids. Derek tried to stop, but she pulled him along. Klein stopped beside me. You should have just let her go when you had the chance, Marcus. Some men aren't meant to play in the big leagues. I loved her. And that was your first mistake. Love is for people who can afford it. That night I moved into Valley View Motel. $35 a night paid weekly. The owner, Mrs. Yang, had kind eyes and didn't ask questions when I paid in wrinkled cash. Room 214, she said, "It's quiet. You look like you need quiet." The room smelled like cigarettes and failure. One bed, one chair, a TV that got 3 channels. I called Kyle. "I lost everything, Dal, my kids, my wife, my entire life. You didn't lose everything, Marcus. You're still here. And as long as you're here, you can fight back." "With what?" "I have nothing left." "You have us. Me, Mom, Dad. We're not giving up on you." But sitting in that motel room, looking at the water-stained ceiling, I'd given up on myself. I'd done everything right, everything a good man was supposed to do, and it had all been for nothing. Rachel was living in a mansion with her lawyer. My kids thought I was a failure. And I was eating canned beans in a motel that rented rooms by the hour. 3 weeks passed in a blur of day labor and silence. I stopped answering my family's calls, stopped hoping things would get better. I existed, nothing more. Then came the knock at 2 a.m. that would change everything. James Crawford's revelations about Rachel's fake cancer hung in the motel room air like smoke. I stared at the documents spread across my bed. Bank statements from the Cayman Islands. Text messages between Rachel and Dr. Walsh planning appointment times when I wouldn't be able to attend. Photos of her with Klein dated 2 years ago, long before her diagnosis. "This can't be real," I said. I saw her suffer, the vomiting, the weight loss, the fear. James pulled out a medical report. Ipecac syrup induces vomiting. Phentermine causes rapid weight loss. Anxiety medications create realistic panic symptoms. Dr. Walsh prescribed all of these under the guise of managing treatment side effects. Your wife was poisoning herself just enough to seem sick while you destroyed your life to save hers. I stood too fast and the room spun. "There's more, Mr. Bennett." James handed me a transcript. This is a recorded conversation between Rachel and Klein from 3 days before she asked for the divorce. He read it aloud. Klein says, "Is Marcus suspicious?" Rachel responds, "He's too exhausted to think straight. The fool sold his wedding ring yesterday, actually cried at the pawn shop, according to Mr. Solomon." Klein laughs and says, "Perfect. File the papers Monday. By the time he figures anything out, we'll be in Bermuda with his money." The rage hit me like a physical force. I punched the wall, leaving a hole in the cheap drywall. My knuckles bled, but I didn't feel it. They laughed about it. She watched me sell my grandfather's ring and laughed about it. "Your father suspected something when Rachel refused to let him visit during treatments," James said. "She claimed it was too emotional, but your father knew better. He hired me 6 months ago." 6 months? "I've been living in this nightmare for 6 months. We needed ironclad evidence. Your ex-wife was very careful. One wrong move and she would have disappeared with the money and your children. We had to build an airtight case." James pulled out his phone and showed me a video of Dr. Walsh in an FBI interrogation room, confessing to medical fraud, insurance fraud, and conspiracy. "She never had cancer. Never," Walsh said in the video. "Every scan I showed Marcus was from other patients, edited with Rachel's information. Every treatment was fake. The whole thing was an elaborate con." "What about my kids?" I asked. "Your father has been meeting with them secretly. 2 weeks ago, he showed them some of this evidence. They know the truth now, Marcus. Your son Derek called your father after finding his mother shredding documents. He knew something was wrong. Your father told them everything. They're at his house right now waiting for you, but the custody order says I can't see them without supervision. That custody order is about to become irrelevant. In approximately 4 hours at 6 a.m., the FBI will arrest Rachel and Marcus Klein. The charges include medical fraud, insurance fraud, conspiracy, money laundering, and custodial interference. Dr. Walsh was arrested yesterday and is currently in federal custody. This is really happening. It's happening. Your father also wanted me to tell you something else. James pulled out a deed. He bought your house the day you sold it, used a shell company to hide the purchase from Rachel. It's been waiting for you. He also kept your business licenses current, maintained your contractor's insurance, and has been turning away clients who wanted to hire Bennett. Contracting, telling them you'd be back soon. James stood to leave. Your father wanted me to give you this. He handed me car keys. Your truck is in the parking lot. He's been maintaining it. There's also this. It was a business card. On the back in my father's handwriting, "Son, a man isn't measured by what he loses, but by what he's willing to sacrifice for family. You sacrificed everything. Now let your family help you rebuild. No more pride. Just come home, Dad." After he left, I sat in the darkness for an hour. Then I got up, showered, put on my last clean shirt, and walked out to the parking lot. My truck was there gleaming under the streetlight, same crack in the windshield from when Derek hit a baseball 2 years ago. I drove to my father's house as the sun came up. The entire family was on the front porch. Derek and Emma ran to the truck before I could even park. "Dad?" Emma sobbed against my chest. "We're so sorry. Mom made us say those things in court. She said she'd send us to military school if we didn't." Derek hugged me harder than he ever had. "I knew something was wrong, Dad. The way Mom laughed about selling the house, it wasn't right. Grandpa showed us the truth. She's evil, Dad. She's actually evil." My father stood on the porch, my mother beside him. He looked older, but satisfied. "Son," he said simply. "Dad, I don't know what to say." "Then don't say anything. Just come inside. Your mother made breakfast. Your crew is on their way over, and we have a business to rebuild. But first we eat. You look like heck." As we walked inside, my phone rang. "Mr. Bennett, this is Agent Michelle Turner with the FBI. We have Rachel and Marcus Klein in custody. We'll need you to come to the federal building this afternoon to give a statement. Are they going to prison? With the evidence we have, they're both looking at 15 to 20 years minimum. The money has been frozen and will be returned to you as restitution." I hung up and looked at my family. They got her. My mother started crying. Kyle whooped and punched the air. My father just nodded. "Justice," he said quietly. "Now we rebuild." 6 months after that morning at my father's house, I stood in my rebuilt workshop running my hands over the same workbench where I'd taught Derek to use a hammer. The FBI had been thorough. Rachel got 12 years federal prison for fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering. Klein got 15 years plus disbarment. Dr. Walsh lost his medical license and got 8 years. The court ordered full restitution, though most of the money was gone. What they recovered went toward rebuilding my business. But the money wasn't what mattered. What mattered was this Saturday morning, with Derek and Emma working beside me on a custom bookshelf for their grandmother. "Dad," Emma asked while sanding a shelf board, "how do you trust anyone after what Mom did?" "You know what your grandpa Robert taught me? Trust but verify. I trusted your mother completely, and that wasn't wrong. Love should include trust, but I ignored warning signs because I wanted to believe the best. Real love protects while it trusts." "Do you hate her?" Derek asked. "No, son. Hate would mean she still has power over me. I feel sorry for her. She had a family that loved her, a husband who would have died for her, and she threw it away for money that's now frozen in federal accounts. She'll spend the next 12 years in a cell thinking about that choice." Travis walked into the workshop with coffee and donuts. He'd been the first one back when I reopened Bennett Contracting. The whole crew returned within a week. We were smaller now, but stronger. Every client who'd left came back with apologies and new contracts. The motel key from room 214 still hangs on a hook in my workshop. Not as a reminder of my lowest point, but as proof that rock bottom isn't the end if you have people who won't let you stay down. Every morning I see it when I grab my tools and remember that the worst thing that ever happened to me led to the most important lesson of my life. Real strength isn't about never falling, it's about having people who won't let you stay down. 2 weeks ago, a man called me. His wife had been diagnosed with a rare blood disease, and something felt off. James Crawford had given him my number. "Mr. Bennett, I don't know where else to turn. I've already sold my car and she's pushing me to sell the house. Can you meet me tomorrow?" I asked. "Bring every piece of medical paperwork you have." I found 3 inconsistencies in the first 5 documents. The doctor's signature varied slightly. The hospital letterhead was from a facility that had closed 2 years earlier. The medication prescribed wasn't used for the disease she claimed to have. That man's wife is now under investigation. He still has his house. "How can I ever thank you?" he asked. "You just did. Every person we help makes what I went through worth something." Derek recently wrote an essay for school about heroes. He wrote about his grandfather who fought a silent war to save his son. He wrote about me who gave everything for love, even when that love was a lie. But mostly, he wrote about how sometimes the real hero is the person who sees you at your lowest and says, "Get up, we're not done yet." Yesterday, Emma performed at her spring concert. I sat in the front row between my parents, Kyle on my other side, Travis and the crew, filling the rest of the row. When she played her solo, I thought about all the concerts Rachel would miss from her federal prison cell. But mostly, I thought about second chances. About grace we don't deserve, but sometimes get anyway. about fathers who refuse to let their sons disappear into darkness. The knock on my motel door that night didn't just reveal the truth about Rachel's deception. It revealed the truth about love, family, and the unbreakable bonds that hold us up when we can't stand on our own. I was a man who lost everything saving someone who was never sick. But in losing everything, I found what actually mattered. Not the house I built with my hands, but the home my father kept alive in his heart. Not the business I created, but the brotherhood that waited for my return. Not the marriage I thought I had, but the family that never let me go. If you're reading this, and you've been broken by someone you trusted, know this. Your story isn't over. There are people fighting for you that you might not even know about. There are hands reaching out in the darkness waiting for you to grab on. Rock bottom isn't the end. Sometimes it's just the foundation for something better. I'm Marcus Bennett. I'm a contractor, a father, a son, and a survivor of the worst betrayal imaginable. But I'm still here, still building, still trusting, but verifying too. And that knock on my motel door wasn't just someone coming to tell me the truth. It was life itself, refusing to let me give up, refusing to let Rachel's cruelty be the end of my story. It was my father's love wearing a suit and carrying evidence, reminding me that family isn't about blood or marriage certificates. It's about who shows up when you're eating cold beans in a motel room and says, "Time to come home, son, we've got work to do."